Hello, how are you? If you're good, great, I'm happy. If not, I'm glad you're here. Today, I kind of want to tackle this male toxicity, personality description, identifier nonsense that has been going on for the last bunch of years. It's so weird how it kind of came out of nowhere. I'm not going to say nowhere because alpha personalities and beta personalities have been around for decades. And just recently, we invent this new sigma personality type. For those of you who don't know, I know most of you do, an alpha male is someone who considers themselves a leader. They have a lot of the personality traits and characteristics of someone who's in power or someone who appears to have it all together. They may or may not be organized, but they pretend they are, and they like to delegate a lot to other people to get things done. Now, I personally like to call them bullies because most people who consider themselves alphas are not really alphas. They're just bullies who never really understood that bullying isn't a positive thing. It's not a good trait to have, but because they've lived their small little life being in charge and getting things done in their own opinion, then they call themselves an alpha male. I've worked with a lot of alpha males before, and some of them are fantastic at it. Some of them do it almost humbly and in a respectful way, and they are very, very organized. They know their craft very, very well, and they're somebody to pay attention to. And I've also worked with a lot of so-called alpha males who do nothing more than just speak loudly and expect things to get done. Then there's the beta male, and the beta male is, in an alpha's opinion, everybody else. You know, anybody that they can bully into doing anything, or their underlings, their subordinates, their less thans. And they are a weaker person to the alpha male, and they are the ones who do a lot of the stuff that an alpha male just doesn't have time or interest in doing. And it's interesting that these classifications seem to be done from an alpha male's perspective, because most of the alpha males are self-diagnosed or self-categorized as alpha, and then they also put that label on betas. Now, betas have an extremely important place in our society. Those are the people who follow the rules quietly, they do the work quietly, they get the jobs done quietly, they raise their families, they do their yard work, they do the things that society needs done quietly. They don't outwardly look for gratification or acceptance or praise. They just do the things. Great. And of recent, they've invented a new thing called Sigma. Sigmas are those that have all the alpha personality traits, but choose not to work within this system that alphas thrive in, that alphas need, because without betas, alphas are nothing. Alphas would have to do all of the work if there weren't a whole team of betas beneath them doing it for them. So sigmas are self-reliant. They don't need anybody else to get things done. Most of the time, sigmas are the educated and intelligent versions of alphas. And you all know each of these personality types. You've all worked and been around men like this. Alphas are only friends with other alphas. They wouldn't consider being friends with betas. And sigmas, they don't care. They think alphas are ridiculous. They think alphas are people who wish they could be sigmas, but can't. So they bully people into believing, and they bully people into doing, and then they consider themselves an alpha just because they have found enough weak people underneath them to self-crown themselves an alpha. So what I'd like to do is I would like to create a whole new male personality type. I'm going to call it a theta. I am a theta. I am not an alpha, but I'm also not a beta. So I can't be a sigma because that would be somebody who is basically an alpha but is self-sufficient and self-reliant and doesn't care what other people think. So if I'm a theta, maybe that's like being a beta, but I don't put up with any crap from an alpha. I don't need an alpha to be my leader. I can lead myself. I choose not to have betas beneath me, and I choose to work in groups. So I'm not a beta, I'm certainly not an alpha. Most of the time I'm sigma, but I don't require being alone to get the job done. So if there was such a thing as a beta, but intelligent, self-reliant, self-sufficient, and sometimes a bit of a question mark, I'm gonna start a new thing called thetas. So if you're a theta, if that sounds like you, join me in the rise of the thetas. We won't put up with the crap of the alphas, and we'll let the sigmas do whatever they want to do because they're going to anyway. We will be the working people who work when we have to, and we don't when we don't. So this was all pretty silly, but I did want to kind of bring up some awareness about these ridiculous titles that we put on ourselves and we put on each other. Like we all have to fit into some column or some place on a spreadsheet. That's just ridiculous. We're human beings. We have different personality traits depending on what day it is, or what group we're in, or what activity that we're involved in. Sometimes I act like a complete alpha, where I have people who are looking to me to make decisions and tell them what they need to do. Sometimes I'm a beta. I stand in the background and just wait for instructions. Most of the time, I'm sigma because I do my own thing. I don't care what you're up to. I don't care what importance you put on yourself. I just don't want to be a part of that. So maybe I'm a theta, kind of floating around doing whatever when I need to, definitely doing what I want to when I don't need to, but making sure I don't treat people like I'm an asshole just because I have crowned myself this thing. It's ridiculous that we spend so much time trying to be an individual, trying to differentiate ourselves from another person. But then a new trend comes along and we can't help ourselves but to follow that trend for acceptance or for clout or to remain in our friend group. How weird, right? So if you're an alpha, be an alpha. Just be kind to people. Make sure that you remember that these people that you're around aren't all alphas. They don't want to be. And you shouldn't look down on them because they're slightly more submissive or they're slightly less loud than you are. If you're a sigma, you don't care. None of this matters to you. And if you're a beta, just be you, man. Do your thing. But don't let anybody step on you. Don't let anybody force you to do stuff that you don't want to do. And if you need to feel appreciated, then it's not going to be working with an alpha, because most alphas forget what you do the minute you do it. As long as it gets done for them, great. Just be sure to take care of yourself. No matter who you are, take care of yourself, because it's important. You are important. I'm important. I'm a theta. I'll see you tomorrow.